Hello again, and welcome to Learn Python 3 the Hard Way, exercise 5. In this one, we're going to be combining printing with putting variables in your printing. Almost all of computers and computer science and whatnot is based on the idea that if you have one thing and you have another thing, you can usually combine them. In fact, it's usually surprising if you can't, and that's where a lot of frustration from programming comes from, where you expect to be able to combine variables and strings, and if you run into a situation where you can't, it's very frustrating because just in general, programming is combining things. So all we're doing in exercise 5 is we're combining what you did up to exercise 3, which is printing strings, with what you did in exercise 4, which is creating variables. And now, I remember at exercise 4, we printed a string and then we told print to print the variable. But that's not really the best way to do it. What we want to be able to do is to craft new strings that have the variables injected into them. So you can see here how I'm doing that is this F string. So I just put an F right in front of it. And F stands for format. And then whenever I do these, they're called braces, like, braces on your teeth. Now, some people might call those curly braces and call other ones straight braces, but we'll just call these braces. Now, I can then take any variable and I can put it right there. And then Python will make a whole new string and hand that new string to print. So we're going to explore this in this exercise. Again, I'm not going to type this in. You know how to type it in. Just keep going. I'm going to explore what this is doing. So let me save this and then let me run it. I probably already ran it, but let me just do it one more time. ex5.py. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to put that to the side, put that there, and let me see. Let's get that out of the way. Cool. And you know what? I'm going to see if I can get rid of this thing too. Do not want you. No, I think it's okay. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it. Okay. And then let me, reduce that. Okay, there we go. Now, all that's happening is if you look off to the right, it says, let's talk about Z.A. Shaw. Okay? Now, when we come down to line 9, you see it says, let's talk about, and then it has my name. Now, notice when I highlight my name, it shows you where my name is created up here. And what is that set to? Z.A. Shaw. So what Python is doing is it's reading your print. It goes, okay, what do you want to print? And then it says, oh, F string. Okay. Now it's going to go, this is stuff that goes to a user, but there's Python code inside of these little braces. So I've got to go find the Python variables. Now you can put more than just variables. You can put most of the code that you can type in Python can go in there. Math, things like that. We'll get into that later. But for the start, you're basically able to make variables, right? And then have them injected into your strings. A way to think about this is they're holes. So this brace creates a hole in your string. Normally Python processes your string, and then when it hits the end, this little quote, you're done. It goes, okay, I'm out of Python mode, or I'm out of string mode and back to Python mode. With an F string, Python goes, okay, this is a hybrid string, or a Python inside a string. So now it's going to process the string, and when it hits a brace, it goes, oh, I got to jump into Python mode really quick. Finds the Python, processes the Python, then when it hits the brace, pops out of Python and goes back into string mode. A third way to think about this is we have 3 levels. We have Python level, so this is everything outside of strings, right? So we're at Python level. Then we have string level, okay? So this in here is string level. This here is string level, string level, string level. So that's another level, like maybe it's below or above, you might say. Now with F strings, with format strings, we're adding one more level, another Python level. It's a simpler Python level. You can't do everything inside these braces, but you can come close. So what we can do now is we have Python level. Okay, now I jump down to string level. It's an F string though, so now I can jump down one more level to Python level and continue on. Popping back out, I'm in string level, and then popping back out, I'm in Python level. Okay, so those are 3 ways to think about it, but as with the rest of this book, you get to practice this a lot, more than you can ever imagine, because it's a fundamental thing about Python. I'm not sure why, but they have 5, I think 4 or 5 different ways. There might even be 7 by the time this video comes out. So there's multiple ways to format strings. If there's that many ways to format strings, it must be very important. So I make you learn it a whole lot. Okay. Now let's rerun this. I'm sort of obsessive about making sure I didn't break anything. And then let's try to break it. So here, let me change these up around. Okay, so you should be able to walk through this and see how it runs. Okay, it's nothing different. The only new thing is we now have an F string that pops into string mode, and then when it hits this, pops back into Python mode for a short time, pops out of string mode, pops out of Python mode. So if we were to walk through this, we would say make the my variable the my age, make the height, setting it to 74, make weight, setting it to 180, make eyes, make teeth, make my hair. Okay, great. Now we go print, and inside print, we're going to pass it a string. But wait, it's an F string, so Python processes the F string. Once it hits the brace, it then says find my name, so it jumps up to where my name is, up at the top, then back down. Then it says brace, comes out of it, and then does a string. That's all that's in here. We're doing all the same thing over and over again. Does a print with an F string again, inserting my height, inserting my weight, inserting my eyes, inserting my hair, inserting my teeth. And then finally at the end, it does the same thing there. It just does it 3 different times. That's mostly so you can see you can put any number of variables in there that you want. All right, so once we do that and we run it, let me do it one more time, we can now think about ways to break this. So if you want, consider this a challenge to sit down and figure out how can you make Python have a problem here. So go ahead and pause the video and you figure out how can you cause Python a problem, and then come back. Okay, are you back? Great. Let's try something really simple. Now we know we can break a string like that. No problem. That's easy. But what if we get rid of the F? Let's try that. So we'll save it and we'll run it. Now what we have is Python just thinks it's a plain old string. It doesn't think you need to process it. So it's not translating any of these braces into variables that it replaces into there. So that's a pretty simple error. And actually, that kind of error would drive you insane. Trust me, those 1-character errors that you just can't hunt down are the worst. But now let's cause a new kind of mistake. So let's just get rid of the closing brace like that. So now we got to figure out, what is Python going to do? Like, is it going to say this format string is bad? Is it going to say I can't find that variable? Let's see what happens. It says syntax error. The F string is expecting a closing brace. So we can see right here, it expects a closing brace. Okay, that's pretty reasonable. Let's do that. What's another thing we can do to break this? Let's give it a bad variable name. So let's do name instead of my name. Oh, it acts like if I were to try to do this down here, it's almost the same error message as if I did this. And let me demonstrate that. So you remember the name error problem? Like we misspelled something. So I'm going to do it down at line 17. Let's see that. See, height is not defined. So that's what happens when you use a variable that doesn't exist inside an F string. Let's just do something funky. Let's just try we know we can do variables, but remember, the idea is you can use one piece of Python inside other pieces of Python. You should be able to combine things, right? So let's just try combining some math here. Plus my weight. Is that going to break anything? Let's see. Nope, didn't break anything. And let's see, which one was it? He's 254 inches tall. I am not that tall. So it did the math. It did a good job of the math. Okay, so we can put expressions in there. We can put math expressions and almost anything. But let's see if we can put something in there that might cause some really big problems. Let's do print and see what happens. Now, who knows? This may totally work. This may do nothing. Let's see what happens. No, can't do that. So we can't put print inside of these F strings. Let's see what we got. Yeah, we can't put a print in there. Can we do, let's try my age, and then let's add it plus my eyes. Now this is a very special error. It might be an error. Let's check. But normally you can't really add a string, which is my eyes, with a number. So let's give it a shot. Yep. You can't add an integer to a string. You would have to change one to the other. So most likely you would have to change my age to a string. Just in case you're curious how you do that, you would do this. Put str around it, and now it does work. And it does some pretty weird stuff. So it does 35 blue, like that. Okay, so in general, you can put a lot of stuff inside these braces. So play around with it. Find out what can you put inside it. Oh, here's one that would be very interesting. Can you put an F string inside an F string? So what if we did this? Let's see, did I get that right? And then there, yeah. So let's see how deep this level, this like inception level of stuff goes. I'm going to guess it doesn't work. And actually, like, I'm doing a lot of stuff that I just haven't even tried. Nope, you can't put an F string inside an F string. Now, for me, I don't see why that's a limitation. This would be one of those examples where I should be able to put an F string inside an F string. I mean, I should be able to nest these. I can see why they would want to avoid that, right? There's some legitimate reasons why that's not really great, but there's really not much of a reason for it other than, technical choice. There's no like limitation that is reasonable. So that would be an example where if I expected to be able to do that, to put F strings in F strings, right? Then I would be kind of like, what? Because I expect to be able to combine things in programming languages. When I can't, it seems odd. All right. So let me undo the world like that. Rerun it to make sure I did a good job. Okay, that's the end of exercise 5. I'll see you at exercise 6. Remember, try to do as many different breaking things as you can and watching it go through.